Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to the Boot Room. We've got special guests on today, all the way from Bahrain, Mathew Owens. He's a local lad, he's originally from Liverpool. He's moved over to Bahrain in the last 3 months. Before Bahrain, he was in Qatar, and he's coached in most places in the Middle East, as well as had coaching experience in the UK. So I'm going to play a little video just to introduce Matty, and then we'll get Matty on the call.
My name's Coach Mathew, and I'm the sports director here at Winners Football Centre in Easter Town. This short video is to inform you of an ongoing competitive football programme we run here at Winners, from our 5 years right the way up to our more senior members of 18 years. Alongside our competitive football programme, we also offer an elite one-to-one training sessions and scholarship opportunities both locally and internationally. Our academy players are competing every year in National League and tournaments. At Winners, you will also be given the opportunity to fly internationally and compete against academies from around the world. I wish we could all meet in person, but due to the global pandemic, right now this isn't possible. Here are some of our contact information on the bottom, and I hope to see you all in Winners Blue soon. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Okay, everyone. So, welcome, Mathew Owens. Hi, Matty.
Cheers,
how are
mate.
you?
Hi, Craig. Long time no see.
Yeah, good. I mean, me and Matty actually went to school together, so it's good to see somebody in the same line of work as myself, and obviously flying the flag for the British coaches over in the Middle East. So, Matty, just to explain to the people in the room what your current role is at Winners.
Yeah, current role at the moment is Sporting Director at Winners Football Centre. Sporting Director is basically running the academy, every day, running some schedule planning to coaching, coaching obviously my own team. I coach the coaches. I do like workshops with them, training the local coaches to a decent enough standard. Media, as you see in then the advert we had, that was across the Middle East because we have another academy in Saudi. Everything from every communication within the academy. The main point of getting someone from the UK is to bring that kind of Western player to the academy as well. Before I came here, it was over 90%, I'd say, were local players. But you just want to introduce a more European way of playing, I suppose. But with the communication level as well, being from the UK, obviously English is your native tongue. So out here, before I came, I honestly thought maybe you'd struggle communicating, but English is like the second language out here. So there's no language barrier at all, to be honest with you. So it's it's pretty much everything to do with the academy, running the academy and everything in between, really.
Yeah. So in terms of the academy program you're overseeing it, how many players do you oversee in total? Yeah,
we're coming up to around 200 players at the moment, and that's from U6 right the way up to U18. So yeah, across the board, we have our own academy, as you've seen in the advert that you played then. That's like a clubhouse. So as much an academy, we've got the gym side as well. That's upstairs. So we do everything from the obviously the football program and the fitness side of things as well. So we've got that good opportunity to offer players both sides, really.
Okay. In terms of the playing ability and style, how would you say it differentiates from?
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, people in Bahrain, plays in Bahrain to plays in the UK, because you've had experience of coaching in both.
And look, the players in Bahrain, it's similar to when I was working in Qatar. I worked in Qatar last year. So before you come here, you haven't really got any sort of you're going in blind almost. Now, me being a football man, I used to watch a program on the TV a long time ago called Football Asia. And I used to watch all the time, anything from Japanese football, Korean football, you see in Qatar, all these kind of. So I was expecting a fast game, the way they play. And to be honest, I was quite, I wouldn't say shocked, but it's not the best way of playing, if that makes sense. They like to play with the ball in their own half, and then almost just forget the midfield. It's just that long ball into the striker or that ball and behind. So being from obviously a football knowledgeable background, it's quite easy to combat against that. One thing that you have that stands out here, if you're from the UK, naturally as a coach, you've got a voice. Most local coaches out here, they don't have a voice. As soon as they send a team onto the field, they're quite silent and they just let the team get on. They don't really tend to fix mistakes or anything like that. And parents obviously look at you and see you quite eccentric from the sidelines, and that's a pulling point into an academy. They want their son to go and play for you, as opposed to a local coach. It's just it's just something that you offer different than most local coaches do out here. But the standard of football is it's uncompatible, to be honest with you. It's not the same in any way.
Would you say that players are athletic? Because I mean, when I used to work in Australia, the playing style wasn't as good as it is in England, but however they were more athletic, I would say, because they're constantly playing sport. Now, when I spoke to people in the likes of Dubai, sport is like kind of a rich person's game. I don't know if it's the same in Bahrain.
It's good that you've said that, because it touches on Bahrain, and I'd probably say it touches more so in Qatar. Now, countries like Qatar, for instance, as you know, it's one of the richest countries on the planet. So a lot of the players, sorry, the person keeps falling. I don't know why. It always happens. It's always going to happen. As I say, you get kids are growing up and they've got everything. They've got iPads, they've got play, all this kind of thing, and they come to training and they've got no hunger. There's no hunger, so you're trying to teach them as much as you can. You're trying to be hard on them, like coaches like were when we were growing up. And they don't really respond to it. I'll be honest with you. Some of them do, and the ones that don't, you'll be playing a game. You'll take someone off. It's usually roll on, roll off substitution out here. So you'll take someone off. You'll turn around and they're on the phone texting. You're like, what are you doing? It was unheard of when I was growing up. It was just a no completely. But I suppose when kids have everything, there's no real hunger to go. They turn up to football. It's almost like an after school club sometimes, I suppose, where they just see the friends and there's no real desire. But you do have, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everyone's like this, but you do get quite the vast majority of them. They tend to be spoilt. So it does come across in the way they train, to be honest with you.
Right. And do you think that's more of a culture thing? Because obviously here in the UK, our culture is, you go to primary school, PE is football based, predominantly, even though, it changes, but, you'd have your winter months. Now, does that happen and then we have local leagues and stuff like that. And then you go into high school and the culture's ingrained even more. You're getting into going to watch your Premier League games. You're playing with your friends after school. You're playing at the weekend, and then you're also at the competitive level of an academy. How does that culture differentiate in Bahrain? Do you have like in terms of an elite level? Are you the elite level, or is there a level above you?
Yeah,
and, can you explain on that?
Yeah, what it tends to be out in the Gulf, you get clubs that are playing in, obviously, in Qatar is the QSL, Bahrain Premier League. So you get clubs, but they don't tend to offer much support off the field. So it's more appealing for parents to send the children to private academies like ourselves. But to be honest with you, the private academy level tends to be quite higher than club level. Because we offer that extra bit more. So as much as we're offering them football training, we sponsor them as well. We offer them obviously fees to come and do certain things, psychological roles. We go on international training camps every year. We compete in the Abu Dhabi Cup, the Manchester City one. So these kind of opportunities at private academy, you don't tend to get at club level. The only difference I'd say is club level, you tend not to pay. As you know, if you're in a club, you don't pay for your fees. So that's more open to every kind of player, that street baller, that raw player. When you're in a private academy, such as ourselves, we tend to appeal more to the middle class and above, really, which isn't necessarily great. For me, what I try and say is always, no matter in Bahrain or Qatar, I say the same thing. When you do this, obviously, as a private academy, the way it is, it's to make money as well. It's a business, you know. When you're at a club, it's not so much a business. I don't really think of the money aspect of it. My prime motive is the development of players. Now, it goes back to, like I was telling you before, if you have a team of people who have everything, you know, and there's no real drive, if you need that raw player in there to set the bar, to set the standard. He's training hard. He hasn't got all these iPads and everything like this. Everything he thinks of is football. Whereas if some people are coming training and, you know, at a private academy, as you know as well, sometimes we have different teams. So we'll have a blue team who's like all the top players, and we'll have an orange team and even a white team. The white team and orange team tend to be people where the parents just want to get rid of them for an hour or an hour and a half a day. That's just the way it is.
Like the participation group.
Of course, a participation group. Now, don't get me wrong; they're no less important than the top team, but you have to separate them because it becomes frustrating for the players who are there to actually develop and wanting to learn. And as you know, if players are just there to just like an after-school club, as you will, they're not going to be paying as much attention. They're going to be kicking balls when you're talking. They're not going to develop as the way you'd want them to. But you have to, as a private academy, you have to open the doors to everybody. But it's just important that you put them in certain classes, if that makes sense, and get the coach that's right for that role as well.
So in terms of your coaching role, I believe that you take the youth team, the under 18s.
Yeah, that's right.
What is the what's the in terms of training structure? Because we've got a couple of players online now who would be interested to understand like what type of training implementations you put into the U18s and you know, and the youth team, and what does that look like?
Well, the U18s, when I first came, we only had maybe 11, 12 players on the register, which obviously isn't great because you play 11v11. Now, the strange thing is, in the Gulf, even in Qatar, U18, college level, they're all playing mainly 9v9, and it's bad practice, no offsides. It's just fundamentally everything against what we're in the game for. So I've came here and they were playing 9v9 when I come. And I've taken them out of our academy, and I'm renting a field at a club currently, obviously to play 11v11 to give them good practices. Now, the benefits that come from that is we're training at a club, so that puts them in the shop window almost as well at that senior level to go on and play for a club. Yeah. Second of all, we get friendly matches against their academy, the club academy, and the national team, Bahrain national team, will play against. Obviously, we'll play their U16 team or even U14 team for our U18s because they're training 4 or 5 times a week at a private academy. We're training twice a week for session wise, but they both last for 90 minutes. So on a Monday and Wednesday, I'll train them for 90 minutes in the football aspect. We'll do a fitness session on a Thursday. Or if we have a game on a Saturday, we'll do a fitness session followed by a classroom. So we'll sit them down, we'll go through the tactics, video footage from the previous games, what went right, what went wrong. It's more of like a classroom Q&A, if you will. But yeah, so everything's structured in everything we do. And no matter where I've gone, I always come into a team and I treat them like professionals and they appreciate that. That's why my register's gone from 11, 12 players. I've now got 29 players, and there's people knocking on the door, and just no room at the moment until we move out of where we are and get a bigger facility and bring another coach in. But obviously, it's a good headache to have.
Yeah. So, in terms of competition level, where do you compete in how many local oppositions you play against?
Yeah, well, we're coming up because of Corona at the moment. Obviously, all the local leagues is currently suspended at the minute. The only people that are playing is the first teams, like in the UK, I suppose. But we do have aspirations, and we will be entering the amateur league when that opens. So that's almost like it's not professional; it's almost like semi-pro. So I'll be taking the U18 team into that, almost like a U21, because we do have 19, 20-year-olds in that squad, and we'll be competing against adults, which is obviously a good learning point. So there's a lot to be learned before we start playing with them. So there is obviously things to aim for. There's tournaments that we set up and things like this. So the competition is good. It is there. We've got actually 2 of our local competitors at the moment. One's called Techers. They're run by a husband and wife from the UK. I think they're from Southampton. They have links with Southampton also. So their players are predominantly from Europe. There's another one as well, Juventus Academy. They're out here. They used to be Arsenal. And they've got a lot of UK coaches there. So they're the two main rivals because obviously quite a lot of European players are playing for them because they've got the UK coaches. Myself, I was actually the first coach, sport director from the UK that this Winners Academy's ever hired. The reason being is as much as they've got a good foundation at the moment, where over, I'd say 95+% is local players. So we want to try and get those extra European players in now, just to try and complement what I'm trying to teach them, like a more European way, and change the identity almost to put them on a pedestal.
Yeah. So in terms of like European access to players, is there any red tape that gets in the way? So if players wanted to come over and play in the Middle East, what would let's say there was no corona world that we live in, how would that happen? How would they be able to?
In what age are we talking?
So if you just say, let's say youth team upwards, if they wanted to come over and experience playing in the Middle East, how would that?
Yeah. I mean, there's tournaments and things like that, so it's not a difficult process to go through. You just enter the tournaments. You can bring a team over. Most of the players that are playing out here at the moment, it tends to be of a youth level because the mother and father have got a nice job over here, and as you know, it's tax free here, so that's a pulling point in itself. And they'll bring the son over or daughter, and they'll be here for a few years and they're playing in the local leagues here. That's generally what it is. At the moment, I've got a player playing for my U18 team. He's 15 years of age. He's from Belarus, but he's been here for 7 years. So, it's just a case of the mother and father get a good job out here, they pay well, and the family move with them. Now, the strange thing, and it really was strange, when I was in Qatar, they've got a really crazy approach to grassroots football. Now, you can't actually play club level in Qatar if you're not Qatari. And in Qatar, you can't stay for maybe 5-6 years and gain citizenship. Doesn't happen. Like, they won't do it. So you can't play club football until you're in the first team, like open age. So they're missing out on all this talent, because I was there and I was at a private academy and I had so many good players from all over the place, all over the world, Brazilians, everything. And they can't play club football. So there's just no good practice in place for them to bring. There's no pathway in Qatar. It's different in Bahrain because they can play for clubs. But in Qatar, it was a shock to me to like, I was trying to get players into clubs. We had a link to Al Dakhel, the biggest club in Qatar, apart from Al Sadd, who Barcelona, Xavi, he's managing them at the moment. He's got, and I actually met Xavi, funny enough, and his brother, who's his assistant. But it was an interesting conversation. But again, Qatar, the money they've got, it's just more a case of they want to buy everything, so they don't really invest a lot into the youth. It's just more a case of, it's a showmanship. When I was there, they bought Mandzukic to Al Dakhel. He was only there 3 months. It's just a case of, I've got him, you've got him, and it's that's all. That's what it is. Honestly, that's all it is. It's Santi Cazorla is playing there himself now as well for Al Sadd. It's just that's all it is. But the youth team's completely forgotten against, and it's wrong, to be honest with you. There's just no, as you said, there's no pathway for the grassroots football in Qatar. That's all.
Yeah. So in terms of like players, let's say if somebody wanted to go and pursue football in the Middle East, how would they go around getting themselves potentially scouted into that first team environment? Yeah,
the best way to do it, and it is proven as well, is to enter the Abu Dhabi Manchester City Cup, because a lot of club teams will enter that tournament, and that's the best way to showcase it. You get teams from around the world that enter this tournament, so obviously a lot of scouting is going on, taking place there, and a lot of opportunities arise from there. Now, like I told you before, I'm working in Bahrain at the moment, but I'm also back and forth from Saudi, as we have another academy. Saudi, the football in Saudi is obviously a lot stronger. You look at their league, there's players, Giovinco's playing out there, Bafatimi Gomez, there's a lot of players that are playing Saudi, and the football is a lot better. They've got big stadiums. So yeah, the football in Saudi, I'd say, is a lot stronger than Bahrain. For me, it just comes down to maybe the lifestyle in Saudi for a Westerner is a lot different than it is in Bahrain.
Okay, so in terms of sorry, did you say lifestyle then?
Lifestyle, yeah, the lifestyle in Saudi is a bit more. It's starting to open up now, but you know, even before I came to the Middle East or the Gulf, I had this. Qatar, I wasn't worried at anything. Bahrain, but then I don't know what it was. Even being from the UK, it's almost a stereotype. You think Saudi Arabia, you think, God, you need to be in your best behaviour. Not that I'm not anyway, but you need to just think about everything you do before you do it there. Because not so long ago, they used to have like religious police that would come around in Saudi Arabia, and anything you do wrong there, they're worse than the police out there, to be honest with you. Nice. But again, it is opening up. It's getting more westernized in certain places, but a lot of Saudi people come across the bridge to come to Bahrain for a weekend, just so they can get away from the restrictions in Saudi.
Right. Okay. So, do you ever get players moving around the Middle East that come to play for you or move across, or because they have that fluctuation of crossing the border
from Saudi to Bahrain?
Yeah.
At the moment, no, because of Corona. But when Corona obviously is gone, we'll be obviously taking our teams to go and play games against the Saudi team, and that'll be at a stage at a decent facility over in Saudi, and there'll be people there to watch, and we'll host tournaments and things like that. So there is definitely that opportunity of it happening. Yeah.
Oh, good. In terms of your, like, obviously we relate back to England and we look at the academy system. Yeah, we have the EPPP and, you know, elite player performance plan and how academy structured and category systems and stuff like that. How does the Football Federation in the Middle East compare to? Do they help support private academies, or are they seen as their own identity, or how is it all governed in terms of that way?
Yeah. The Bahrain Football Federation out here are very supportive to local academies and the football. To be honest with you, the best thing they done, they won the Gulf Cup against Saudi Arabia, and to be honest with you, it was unexpected. But the disappointing thing for me is they didn't really pump much money into the the football after that. Out of all the places that have been, Saudi, Qatar, and Bahrain's the one that's most further behind in terms. Like when I was in Qatar, the facilities we had were second to none. Now I know the World Cup's coming up there, but I was playing out there myself as well, and we were playing on the World Cup training pitches. They were like bowling greens. They were like no other, and we had that access to train our players on there and everything. Some of the facilities in Bahrain that I've been are they're not great. I'll be honest with you, they're not great. For me, my job whilst I'm out here, I've only been here in Bahrain 3 months at the moment, but I want to contribute towards bringing the football here and the standards a lot higher than what it is at the moment. It is getting there. There is more money starting to get pumped in slowly but surely. But there is a big gap for me between Qatar, Saudi, and Bahrain. For me, like I'm telling you, it's difficult. The hardest thing in football, it's not getting to the top, it's staying at the top. So for me, when they won the Gulf Cup, it was a big shock to find out that they just wasn't investing in the football. Like in Qatar, you've got Qatar Foundation and Aspire Academy, which is massive. Saudi have opened a new one. I think it's called the Dome. Bahrain hasn't really got anything like that. So again, it's my job as well to liaise with the FA out here and sort of show them, try and help them and show them, make them see a bit of sense in investing in grassroots football more.
Right. Okay. I mean, did they run the same So, what's your qualification at the moment?
Yeah. So they get the so over here it's the AFC licenses, Asian football licenses. So they go from
So that's the same as in Australia.
Yeah, it's the same in Australia. The only difference is over here is everything's in Arabic. So
right. Okay.
So I'm going to take a translator to the. It's not. I'll be honest with you. It's not high level, if that makes sense. I wouldn't say it was like if someone says out here the A license and the AFC license,
it's like the level 2, maybe
C at a push, but it's not It's nothing technical in that respect. No, the UEFA is completely different. I'd say it's more professionally run. It's like the one in Ireland. You know, you go for a week and then you come back. You're 6 months worth of coursework, and then you go back and finish it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, mine was postponed because of COVID. It was supposed to be going last July, and it got postponed. Now I'm just waiting for the email to get myself to back there. Yeah, because I'm quite unique in the way I went about my coaching life. I started at 19. Before that, my coaching experience, I'd done my MVQ level 3, so 3 years worth of David Campbell football. And it was 3 intense years of coaching alongside. We were going to Manchester City. We got to go to Carrington. So I got to watch the likes of Brian Kidd saying, and you know, a lot of people are scared to ask questions, but I seen it almost as an opportunity. I was picking the brains of all these people when everyone else was kind of afraid to. And then the first opportunity I got was in America. 19, I left. I went to Cincinnati. Whilst I was in Cincinnati, I was training like a high school girls team, and I was doing work in Ohio University, the Buckeyes. Right. Which was a great experience in itself. I lived in Kentucky, which was completely different than any other place I'd been. It was like stepping foot in a time machine. Honestly, it was like living in the 50s there. It was all country music, multicolored clothes, and your training. It was crazy. And then I went to Chicago. From Chicago, Rhode Island, and Florida. I worked for Florida for GPS. I don't know if you've heard of them. That's affiliation.
We've got Seth on the call. Seth from Florida. Seth's on the call now.
I was in Winter Park actually. So I was staying in Winter Park. GPS they were called, but they're massive. They're right the way across America and Canada, in affiliation to Bayern Munich. So all of our players had the Bayern Munich kit, and we had like a curriculum to run through. Following that, came back to the UK. Got a really good opportunity in Qatar. When I went to Qatar, I originally came as a head coach. When I went as a head coach, the academy manager who hired me, 2 weeks after me getting there, he got a great opportunity to work for a Canadian university out there. So it was me and 3 other new coaches. Yeah. And it was just who naturally grew into the role. And I stepped forward, and that's when I started more of a senior position of academy manager. The benefits, what I got from that were unimaginable, you know. I was the head of the football for Qatar Foundation program. And with that, I got given the head football role for the elite university program. So I had to hold like a trial for 8 Qatar universities. I got to pick my own squad, and we were going to enter for the first time ever into the Universidad Games, which is the Olympics for universities. Yeah. So I was getting all these opportunities, and it was really, it was great. And then obviously Corona happened, which was, you know, what can you do? But before that, another thing I'll touch on, an opportunity is being in Qatar at the time. I'm a Liverpool fan. I went to the Champions League final in Madrid.
The Super Cup.
And then the World Club Cup was on in Qatar, and obviously they usually get mascots for the game, and they chose Qatar Foundation. So all the kids that we were coaching were the mascots for the game. So there I was in the tunnel with the Liverpool team and all the other teams, handing the players over, having a chat and stuff. So that in itself was just a great life experience.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've had obviously being in America and then go from Western culture to Middle Eastern culture. And, you know, a couple of our people on the line, obviously international students, and they've had to come over to the UK, to different environment, different culture, different playing style. How do you cope with your personal life in Bahrain, and how different is that?
Yeah, at first it is a complete culture change. Everything from the way the buildings are shaped and how hot it is in the summer out here. It gets to like 54 degrees. Like your fingernails are sweating. You've never experienced heat like it. But you don't train in that. You're in an indoor facility with aircon. But honestly, it's the most peaceful place I've ever been. Like in the UK, no, it doesn't matter where you are. Even in the States, you walk down unfamiliar places and you're looking over your shoulder sometimes. You're a bit wary. Mm-hmm. Out here in Qatar, there's no date. Like touch wood, but there's no danger about.
Yeah.
Everyone's peaceful, everyone's respectful. That you just get this stereotype before you come to the Middle East, I guess. Being from a Western, it's just a natural thing. And until you visit them, I can never sort of put into words what it's like to live in places like this. It's the most safest place you'll live. But it's just a great environment to thrive in. You know, in the UK, it tends to be not what you know, it's who you know. But in places like this, you get the opportunities. If you've got the charisma, you've got the passion, the drive, and you're good at what you do, you'll get them opportunities, and it's up to you to take them. Whereas if in the UK and America, in that respect, it's a bit of both. You've got to have that look about you as well. You've got to know someone in a certain place.
Do you think it's a more socially accepted place in Bahrain in terms of being able to communicate with people and get on with people? Did you get invited? What's your social life like in Bahrain?
So I mean, even being out here, I met I've got obviously friends out here now. They play basketball out here. One of them's from the States, one of them's from Canada. Used to play in the NBA. And similar age to myself as well. So, you know, I'm going to social gatherings with them and meeting other people. I didn't even know there was an ice hockey team out here. You wouldn't think we're heat like this, would you? But I met the captain of the ice hockey team. I'm meeting, you know, sheikhs of certain clubs. It's you couldn't put into words some of the people I've met in countries like here that you wouldn't get them certain opportunities in the UK.
If I'm right in saying the Sheikh is higher than the Prince, is it?
Yeah, they're connected to like the royals out here, basically. So their final say is everything, if that makes sense. I can't really go into too much detail because the Sheikhs, in case I get it wrong, and you know. But they basically they're up here. They're the hierarchy. I was just social gathering and bumped into one. I didn't even know. You know, they don't put themselves in places you can't reach, if that makes sense. They're just down to earth people like you or me.
Yeah. No, that sounds brilliant. I mean, and just probably one more question from me before we put it to the room if anyone wants to ask any questions. In terms of, we touched back at the beginning in terms of, you know, type of playing style. What type of playing style did you bring over? What type of...
Yeah, I mean, like I told you, the style out here, if I had to compare to anything, sorry,
you got a phone
if
call.
I was to same person, I don't know who it is. It's one of those numbers that come up. It could be anyone at this point. But yeah, the style of play out here, it's almost like an African style of play. From I watch the African nations, and it's almost like big long ball up front and try and get them behind. Me, I always like to adapt like a liquid way of playing. I always say liquid football, so a nice flowing football, possess, play what you see, no 50-50 balls. So at first, you know, taking over the U18s, the old saying goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So it's at first, it's trying to get them out of old habits. You know, when you're 16, 17 years of age, for someone like myself to come over, sorry, I have no idea who this is. I only apologise. But it's trying to get them out of old habits. And who am I to come over and tell them that, you know, there's no right or wrong way of playing football. Like, there's just not. As a coach, it's up to you what philosophy you have and the way, what identity you like to play and influence that in your team. So it's getting them out of these old habits where they just like to get the ball and go long and things like this. But they've been playing like this for years. So it's so hard
to implement it.
Yeah, as opposed to U8 and U10, it's like a blank canvas. So they might have a couple of bad habits, but you can get them out of these habits, you know, in a couple of months. It takes a bit longer with the older players, but now they are seeing the benefits, and we are playing really good football at the moment.
Right. I mean, I think if, you know, in terms of if I relate to our students, you know, you've gone on a similar pathway, and you know, it'd be a pathway that we would want our students to kind of replicate. I mean, you were on a David Campbell BTEC course. You've gone over to America with them qualifications, you know, and now you're heading up an academy. You know, if you would go back to your David Campbell days, would you have thought you'd be in the position you are now?
I mean, that was when 16, 17, so you're still quite raw. I was still playing at the time for Southport as well. So it was, I always knew football was the only thing for me, even in my academics in school. I'm not for me, I'm a kinesthetic learner. So I learn by doing. I've never been really gifted in studying, maths, all this kind of things. But I'm good when I'm interested in something. So I always knew I'd be involved with football in some capacity. And the fact that obviously it's my everyday life now it almost doesn't feel like work sometimes. I know it's a cliche and you hear it all the time, but when you wake up every day, and sometimes in a normal job, you wake up and that alarm goes off and you think, it's different when you're playing football and you're involved in football. It's because your brain, it's hard. It runs for your veins, basically. It's
You just
and it's just
follow,
great.
you
You do, yeah.
passion.
You've got that passion, that drive, and it doesn't feel like work. And the fact that you can come to places like this, if you'd have told me when I was for David Campbell, or you'd be living in the Middle East when you're 30, I'd be like, what?
You'd
be laughing. Yeah. But then everything that happened up until this point as well. So, and I'm still relatively young as a coach as well, and I've still got all the highs and lows in football to go. But I'm happy in the course I'm on at the minute. I'm happy where I am. But I'm never satisfied, if that makes sense. I'm always aiming for that higher.
No, it sounds great, and obviously you just never know where you're going to be. As long as you're staying involved with football, you've always got them connections you can make and that network. And I think it's obviously
what you've just said,
able to touch base with you. Yeah,
networking's key in this game. Networking is everything. If you've got no personality, no charisma, you won't find yourself. You won't get many places, to be honest with you. You just won't. With me, I'm quite it's almost like a trait of someone from Liverpool, to be honest. We are quite open people, no matter where we go in the world. And I come out here on my own. I had no friends out here, no family, no nothing. But you very quickly start to meet people, and we're not shy. We'll speak to anyone. We'll ask questions, and that's the best way to go in life. You just got to be open.
No, it's sorry, exactly. Yeah, no worries. So look, really good talk there, Matty. Obviously, an insight to life in Bahrain. I'm just going to open it to the floor. If anyone like to ask any questions, if you want to put your name in the chat or unmute yourself, and you'd like to ask a question, don't feel shy. There is also Matty also involved in scholarship programs as well in Bahrain that you might need to want to ask and find out more information. But we will be getting more information off Matty in the coming weeks as we go through. If anyone like to ask a question, don't feel.
Yeah, about the scholarship program. We just had a student that just went through the scholarship program through First Point USA, something Jamie Vardy is involved with. His name's Hamad. He basically they have an interview day, so they have like a face-to-face kind of interview, and then you'll send them video footage, and they'll pass that, and then it's all down to your academics. And he managed to pass all them. We sponsor them to a certain degree, so we'll help towards the fees and things like this. And then he's actually gone to Johnson and Wales University in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he'll be doing his academics there and joining the Wildcats football team. So it is an ongoing thing that we do, the scholarships, and they're just not just internationally, they're locally as well for universities here in Bahrain. But there is opportunities, obviously, for play. They're the bonuses of playing for a private academy that you won't get at a club.
Right. Okay. Looking in terms of we're a little bit quiet on the chat box in terms of questions, but if you would like to message Matthew personally, feel free. I'll post his email address.
Yeah, put on my details there anytime,
and you can get in touch with him. But look, it's been a great 45 minutes there, Matt. And I'm sure.
Thanks for people still listening. I know sometimes when you're sitting there and you haven't got much to say and you're listening, it's quite hard to be engaged. But I hope I've given you an insight of what it's like to live in a different part of the world that people aren't too familiar with.
Yeah, I think in terms of comparison and relate to they should be able to relate to your pathway, in terms of being on the same type of course.
It just goes back to saying before, I was unique in the way I went about my coaching experience. So I left when I was quite early in the UK, 19, and I done mine like backwards. I got my experience first.
Yeah.
And now I'm to the stage where I'm going to go and get me. So I'm doing my AFC licenses and things, but I'm going to go and get me UEFA ones to back up the knowledge that I've got. A lot of people will get the UEFA badges first, and then it comes to the job and they haven't got the experience and the learning on the job, if that makes sense. So I'm sort of like a prime example of just through experience alone, you can get these senior positions, and then you just back your knowledge up with the certification after it. And that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah. No, I definitely 100%. You gotta keep building them qualifications up, and
of course,
keep improving
you can do
yourself.
it. What I'm saying, you can do it either way. You can do it either way. So I wouldn't be worried. It's just stick to it and stay on the journey.
Oh yeah, I've got a question here from Andy Marshall. He's one of our tutors. Go on, Andy, fire away, mate.
Matthew, thanks for that. It was really interesting to hear about your journey and where you are now. I have a question kind of regarding sports science. I lead our sports science program at Yard Academy. How do you, I know you have different age groups, but how do you implement sports science if you do? I know you mentioned you had a gym, so there's at least some aspects.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a good question, to be honest with you. As much as, like I said, we do the training, just the football and training, we offer nutrition programs, the sports side, we do the fitness aspect. So we've got a trained fitness coach from Cameroon who's here, and he's got all his qualifications in. He's got so many different ones, I couldn't name them off the top of my head. But we do certain programs for certain players. Like there's players out here, predominantly the players out here, they haven't got much muscle mass. So if they're going to go to clubs and they're going to do a scholarship program from America, we'll set up a particular program that's going to fit that need for that player. So as you know, in America, they're all fit for the start, but they've got muscle mass as well. So we'll give them a nutrition program to follow, dietary, and we'll set them up with the fitness aspect as well, and we'll monitor it, and we'll pay for that. That goes a part of our sponsoring program that we do.
Brilliant. So you mentioned you had a fitness coach. So what about in terms of analysis? Do you film matches and watch matches?
Yeah,
a dedicated analyst?
Yeah. We have a media. As well, he's in university, but he's one of the best media guys I've ever seen. If you follow Winners Football Centre on Instagram, you'll see all the kind of videos and the content he puts up. But we film all of our matches, and then we'll do a classroom the following week where we'll sit down and we'll get it on the board, and we'll stop at a certain point. This is a mistake, and we'll do like a Q&A with them, and then break it down for them from everything from the formation to individual errors, and then how we basically improve on that. And then we'll set a program up after that to go and train to correct the wrongs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good. Last one, kind of.
Yeah, no problem.
So you mentioned that the style of play over there is obviously a little bit different to what your philosophy is. I mean, you have teams here that play quite direct. It probably varies from team to team and coach to coach. So how does the analysis sessions, when you sit down with them and watch the game back, do you think that's changed the way they see the game and stuff like that?
I do. I think a big part of it is because it's me. If it's my team, it's obviously me giving them the analysis and breaking it down and dissecting the game. So they're seeing some from Liverpool, they're seeing some from Europe, breaking the game down. So that's how they're buying into the way that you're trying to implement your philosophy on their way of playing. Now, if it was a local coach trying to do this, they wouldn't dissect the game the same way as me or you would. So they wouldn't learn in that respect. Now, that's the sort of advantage that private academies have over grassroots clubs out here, because most grassroots clubs are going to be local coaches. And again, no disrespect to the AFC licenses, it's no comparison to even the FA level to UEFA level in the UK and Europe. So it is a direct way of playing. I know in the UK, certain clubs have a direct way of playing, but that's horses for courses. If you've got a big striker, it's just the way you're going to play. But out here, it's almost second nature to just a couple of good passes and then almost forget the midfield. It's a long ball and then they're just chasing it. They don't tend to like to keep the ball. They don't like to play what they see. They like to play these 50-50 balls. And yeah, I think a big part of it is when it's like me who's going through the video footage with them, and they're more engaged in what you're saying, and they start to buy into your beliefs. If that makes it, they trust you a lot more. And then eventually you'll find that these bad habits they've got are becoming less and less and less and less. And then once you start being able to play that you want them to play, then you take it from there, really.
Sorry, I've got two more now.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
That's good, Andy.
The first one, obviously, you lead. You've said you've led a group of coaches, and you obviously teach them your way.
Yeah.
So do kind of set up the philosophy for the academy and then tell them to deliver sessions based on that, or do you allow them to kind of have their own touch on it?
It's a good, again, like I said earlier, there's no, as you'd say, there's no right or wrong way of coaching. It's just, for me, when you're coaching, whatever you're coaching, let's just say it's a small-sided game, or your right back's running down the wing and then it's shuffling across. It's teaching these local coaches that whatever you do is for a reason, and it's to educate the players that whatever move they're making or whatever you're trying to sort of implement in the training is for the purpose. So it's backing whatever you're saying up with something, so they can't say, why are we doing this or why? So for, like I said, then for the small-sided game, if your right back's making a run down the wing, your centre back would come over, you drag the other centre back with you, your left back's tucking in, and stuff like that. Just giving them a bit more knowledge. Like what local coaches tend to do is they'll put a very good blueprint session on so it looks good, but they don't coach the session. They almost let the same thing run for 20-25 minutes. They don't do any progressions. It's not testing. It comes across a bit boring sometimes. Whereas if the likes of people with, it's different education, you know, that's what it comes down to, and the different football fundamentals at the end of the day. So it's just about me giving my knowledge over to them and teaching the way that I've been taught how to teach football. Being the MVQ football, it's more of it's classroom based. So it's you know, you pass with the inside your foot, your arms out for balance. It's just but these don't know this kind of thing, if that makes sense. They're just saying pass the ball, and they forget they forget the build up to the pass, if that makes sense. Your body position and everything that goes alongside it. They don't really tend to say anything to do with that. The science of football, if you will.
Last one. So you sticking with the style of play thing again. So do they play that way because they don't have the knowledge, or because the players aren't able to do it? So you say they miss out the second line. So if the centre backs got it, do the centre backs have the ability to break the line, or is it just that they don't have?
See, at a private academy, at a club level, it was shocking to me, like, because I've had a few friendly games against clubs out here. And at a private academy, you haven't got the luxury of having footballers in every position. I might have maybe 6-7 good players at a push. Most of them are midfielders. So when I first came, they were missing the midfield out. And it was, obviously, when you first come, you don't really realise they can play until you start putting your philosophy on the game. But when we're playing against clubs where they can all play, and we were playing against a club that had, I think, 5 players that play for the national team as well. And I just thought, okay, I haven't got players in every position here. Like, I can't match you in the way you're wanting to play. So I was just almost, if we lost the ball high up the field, I'd tell them discipline. So I give them 3 things: discipline, shuffle, possess. Patience was another big one that they don't hear often out here. So we get back everyone into our own half, and we'd let them have the ball in their own half, and without any sort of press at all. They were just passing it about, not hurting us. And then it was almost like they were running out of ideas before they crossed into our half. And they were just always looking for that direct ball in between the lines. And don't get me wrong, you're playing against players who, you know, they've got to play in every position. So sometimes it'd work. You know, you can't coach individual errors. You know, I've got a defender who doesn't like heading the ball. So what can you do sometimes? But again, you know, we set up to combat this style of play, and we ended up drawing against them, and it was a shock. Like, to go and draw against just a private academy at club level was a big no-no. And then just to back it up, they wanted a rematch, and I knew straight away that the reason they want a rematch is because they would have had a good drilling from the hierarchy, and we played them again. We drew again with them. So again, just by combating that style of play, not by having a better team than them, because obviously they had the better team than us. Of course they did, like man for man. But just setting up against that kind of style of play, that ugly, I call it ugly football. I don't like it at all, to be honest with you. It was easy in that respect. Just give them the ball all they want in their own half, and they'll make their own mistakes. But like you said, I think it's not that they're not good enough to play possession football. It's just they've never been shown how. It's just I'm not sure why, to be honest with you. It's something that I want to try and find out. But my team, when I took over the UA team, when I first came in, they were doing it. These are horrible mistakes. They were going long and long. And I've got them playing now where they're going through the midfield, and it looks a lot better. And it does look like an actual style of play. So you're not just beating teams. Because as you know, if you've got no style of play, you can win a game 5-0. And it's so hard to sort of dissect the game when you've got no style of play, because you can't really show them how you've won the game because it's all over the place. But now we're getting a bit more consistent in the way we're playing. We're more patient on the ball. So it's a lot easier when we play the video footage back. This is what's gone right. This is what's gone wrong. We need to be more consistent in this way. And it's a lot easier to educate them that way.
Yeah, I think it's strange that the coaches are like that, because you'd think watching Europe, because they're obviously big on like the top teams, so Man City, Liverpool, United, those teams. And so they'll obviously watch those teams at the weekend when they play and see that Klopp plays out from the back. But
what it is, they don't. It's the AFC licenses out here. I haven't done them yet, but I am starting to get myself involved with them because I want to see it myself. Because I've coached with A license AFC ones out here, and it's some of the stuff. It's not great. And for me, and most of them are ex-players, to be honest. They played in Saudi, they played in Qatar, they played in Bahrain, and they're just a good semi-pro level, if that makes sense. So it's not a case of they can't play that way. It's just whatever they've been educated into. So this isn't just now. This is going back from the 90s way of playing to where we are today. Football's evolving every time, but these have just seemed to got the same identity. They haven't really evolved, if that makes sense. Like they haven't evolved in European football. The first sweeper keeper was probably Neuer. Then obviously Bayern were the first ones to, I'd say, maybe change a centre midfielder to a centre back. That new role, they done it with Javi Martinez. These are different ways of playing, but out here, they don't really tend to evolve with the times, if that makes sense. I honestly think it's probably the AFC licenses, because they don't get the opportunities. They don't do a UEFA course out here. I know they're starting to do FA courses out here, but you want to see the prices that they're trying to charge just to do an FA level 1 or 2 out here. It's equating to about, I think I looked, it was about £500, £600 or something like this. And and to be honest, if they'd done the FA level 2, I'd put them in high regard as someone who had a B license out here. It's for me, I think they should do more workshops where clubs should be pumping more money into the coaching staff and sending them to places in Europe. But as you know, the B license or A license, no matter where you go, if you're at club level, they'll always ask you, where did you obtain this license? I've come across A license coaches. I'm like, where did you get your A license? UEFA? Albania or Romania. No disrespect to those kind of countries, but it's not as it's not as prestigious as, for me, Ireland is the best place to go to get it. That's where all the ex-players go. It's the most professional course. I've got a friend who went to Germany and done it, and he was done in 3 weeks. And I wouldn't say he was a great coach in that respect, but it all depends where you get it as well. It really does. So you can get people that sit behind the title. I've got an A license, but then when you go into it, you got it from Albania or these kind of countries. It's whoever's teaching you. It's whoever's teaching the course, to be honest with you. And that rubs off on whoever gets the license as well.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced those people that have got a top license.
I've heard everywhere in the world I've been, there's always been that person who makes himself known straight away. I've got my A license. Where did you get it? Azerbaijan or something like this.
Thanks, Matthew. That was really good. Thank you.
No, cheers, mate. Pleasure.
Thanks, Andy. All right. So, guys, if you haven't got any more,
just a quick one from me, if that's all right, Craig.
I'll go on, Wayne. Yeah, fire away.
Matty, thanks very much for your presentation, Matty. You all right, mate? Yeah. Just a quick one, mate. So we're undertaking a program, coach ed program, mate, within the college. It's something brand new.
Yeah.
No other college that I know to our sort of that we know locally or even nationally, mate, are doing it. Just how beneficial do you think sort of FA level 1, FA level 2 would be for our students to push them forward to get to where you are now, for example?
Oh, it's definitely more. It's definitely beneficial, especially when you come to countries like here. They do hold anything. Let's even take football aside. Even your driving license. If you've got a UK driving license, I swear they hold things like this in high regard, and it does put you ahead of the competition in places like here, and it almost puts you ahead of the competition. And as long as you've got that hunger and desire to go and follow what you're doing, the world's your oyster, really. But it's about giving yourself the fuel to get here, and then it's down to yourself. Nothing's ever handed to you in that respect. But if you want something to happen, you need to get these kind of things in place before you come to countries like this.
No, definitely, mate. I mean, one of the things I know exactly what you mean from the UK perspective. I mean, when you say you've got an FA level 1 or you've got an Australian level 1, straight away they always gravitate towards the sort of the FA and UEFA qualifications. I've known that myself, so it's just maybe a message for our students, mate, as well, just to say how sort of powerful that sort of qualification is.
It is, I mean, like I said, it's coaching. There's no right or wrong way a coaching at all, but it's almost like driving. You've got to do it by the book. Like that means getting your FA level 2, but then once you've got that, you coach and you get your own philosophy, and every day you learn. Football evolves every day, so this bit of certification is just something that backs up your knowledge, if that makes sense. It opens doors. That's the best way of putting it. It opens doors, and then it's up to you to walk through them or not. But it's always good to have them. There's no such thing as bad education. If you've got a certificate to go with your knowledge, mate, then again, it's only good things.
Cool. No, thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate. Just on that there, Matt, I think potentially, obviously, if we could build some type of partnership and, potentially bring students over or something like that in the near future, obviously in a COVID-free environment. I think a couple of our students would be, and we have got students who are from the Middle East that are in our college at the moment, so that might be of interest to them to go and coach in them type of places as well. So
of course, we'd always be open for that. Anything to do with education or football, as long as it's helping students and anything like that, mate. Of course, we'd be more than open for that, more than open to it.
Yeah, that's great. So if there's I will put Matty's email address in all our Google Chats groups. So if you fancy, you want to drop him a message or an email, or pick the phone up. He's a very chatty person, as you've already seen. I'm sure he'll pick the phone up and have a conversation with you.
Then pick the phone up at whoever's trying to call me during this chat.
But no, look, I think on behalf of everybody at Steven Gerrard Academy, we'd like to thank you for taking the time out today to speak to us, and thank you very much. And we hope to continue our partnership as we move forwards.
Yeah, no, as I say, but it'd be good to catch up again in the near future. But no, thanks very much. I appreciate it, and I hope obviously people that were listening have learned a few things, and it might have opened their eyes to what it's like to live out here. There's that person again.
All right. Okay, so thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I'll see you soon. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Matt.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.